ado, I asked Nan to come on and talk about her specialty, which is luxury listings. Thank you so much for coming on, Nan.
You are so welcome.
We really appreciate it. And so Nan is a Colorado realtor, comes from 4 generations of real estate, has 4 children. Am I
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
She is a former gymnast. She is a real estate rock star. And most importantly, one of the reasons why she came is she is a certified luxury specialist. So Nan's going to share with you how to tap into the luxury market. So Nan, I'm going to turn it over to you. Thank you so much. And we have about 55 minutes to the top of the hour.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that lovely introduction. Yeah, I am a Colorado native as well. My 97-year-old grandmother was a realtor, and I think I remember going with her to show her the last home she ever showed when she was around 78. So yeah, pretty. I'm not going to do that. That's not going to be me. So, but
Me neither.
yeah, that's not happening. Yeah. So, and then my mom's a realtor in San Diego, La Jolla area. My aunt has licenses in 3 states, and my mother-in-law was a mortgage broker. So I pretty much didn't have much choice but to get in this industry. So I did it for about 10, 11 years, got out for about 8 years, and I'm back now for about 12 years. So seen it all, lots of markets. This is a crazy one. But I had decided that it was important to me. I wanted to get into the luxury market for a couple of reasons. And one of them, just, complete transparency, is the paychecks. Those commission checks are a lot nicer than the other ones, right? So I wasn't sure how to get into it. So I started stabbing in the dark, trying to figure it out. And I learned some pretty interesting things. So I'm going to ask you guys just a couple of quick questions real quick, if you don't mind. If your camera's on, maybe raise your hand. If it's not, don't worry about it. So how many people here are here under a year in real estate? Do we have brand new guys? Okay, awesome. Good for you for like doing this in the beginning, because a lot of people hear luxury and they feel like, oh, I have to be in this a million years, and you don't. It's about understanding how to get into it and going for it. And you might as well go for it now, right? So do I have people in here that have been in it for, like, say, more than 10 years? Okay, awesome. And then how many of you guys have actually sold, represented a buyer or a seller in properties that are $1 million or more? Have you already done any of that? Okay, awesome. So you guys have been around. So, and there's the difference between $1 million buyer or seller and a $400,000 buyer or seller isn't a whole lot, but there are some key differences. And so this is when you get in and how you want to stay in. These are the things that matter. So another real quick question for you guys. Have you figured out your niche or your niche yet? Have you thought about it? Or are you still just kind of taking whatever business you can get? You don't have to answer me. I just want you to kind of think about that in your head. A lot of people think that luxury is a niche or a niche, and it's not. And people are like, well, what do you mean? Well, there's 3 different kind of levels within luxury real estate itself. So luxury is actually a price point and then a customer type. It's not a niche itself, because there's very different levels within luxury itself. And so one of the things I want to show you today, I'm going to tell you kind of what, general industry standard those are, so you can kind of start thinking about it. Because just like everything else you're doing in real estate right now, you need to kind of pick which one you want to be in and then do everything geared toward that. By the way, I just came back from a company conference and I got some kind of disease. So I'm red-nosed and stuffy. So I apologize for the sniffling and all that, but at least I'm not breathing on you guys, right?
Thank God for Zoom.
Yeah, thank God, right? So, and this was kind of shocking to me. So I'm going to tell you real quick kind of what my journey was. I decided that luxury was going to be my thing. And there is a group called the Institute of Luxury Home Marketing. Maybe you've heard of them, maybe you haven't. If you have a pencil, write that down. It's the Institute of Luxury Home Marketing. They've been around, I think she's been around for 30 years. It's a long time. And she was a realtor, and she just decided to kind of break off and become the, expert in all things luxury. They offer some training and some certifications and stuff. So once in a while, you'll see a realtor that has something called the CLHMS. and it's a logo and it's a designation that you can get from them. And so my thoughts were, let me check into getting certified in this arena. Now, NAR also offers a luxury designation, and then depending on your company might offer one as well. So I kind of just jumped in and did all three because I thought, well, I'm going to figure out which one makes the most sense. For me personally, I prefer the Institute of Luxury Home Marketing. I prefer their training and all of that stuff, and we'll get a little more into that later. So if you're going to be trying to get into this area, you really need to be ready to spend a little bit of money and get into some of this training. It's important. You know, sometimes is it important to become a certified home buyer, agent, or whatever? I don't know about all of those things per se, but in luxury, I really think you do need the designations. Personal opinion, it's just the way I did it. So somebody totally probably disagrees with me, but that's how I did it. So one of the things that I was really interested in with the Institute of Luxury Home Marketing was when they're talking about these different levels. So basically they have it figured out into like 3 different levels. And sorry, hang on, I'm gonna sneeze or cough. Oh my gosh. Okay, so the 3 different levels, and you're probably gonna write this down because this will apply across the board. The first one they call is a high net worth individual. And that's generally people who have assets between, $1 to $5 million. Assets meaning liquid, not investments. So if they've got assets that are liquid, they could sell it, they could do something with it between $1 to $5 million. They are an HNWI, or a high net worth individual. Then the next one would be the very high net worth individual. So creative, right? And those are people with assets between 5 million and 30 million. And then the next section, which is the ultra high net worth individual, they're 30 million and above. These terms are amazingly creative. But I mean, as you can see, when you start thinking about it, trying to get a listing from someone that owns $1 million property, especially in Colorado, is not going to be the same as trying to get a listing from someone that has a $30 million property. So those 3 tiers are definitely different, and what you do is going to be different as you're approaching these clients. So you want to start thinking about, where do you want to be? Where do you feel comfortable? Which makes the most sense to you? Because just like any other space in real estate, you're going to gear all of your marketing, everything that you do is going to be geared toward that group of people that you want to work with. So, a lot of people will say, oh, I want to work with the 30 million and above. Well, of course, but that takes a totally different type of person and approach than the person that's working with the high net worth, the HNWI. So in my class, I'll just give you an example. Was I'm getting my certification. She threw up this video, a picture of this beautiful looking thing. And she said, what is this? So I'm not shy. I piped up and I said, oh, that's a Bulgari watch. And she said, oh, really? Is that a Bulgari watch? I said, yeah. She goes, no, Nan, that's a Bulgari timepiece. And if you had said to somebody that owns one of those that that's a Bulgari watch, they'd have been like, we're not using you. You don't know what's happening. So this is what I'm sort of talking about. So if you, when you decide which one of these tiers you kind of want to be in, you need to start really studying and thinking about, what does a person in that group, what do they do? What do they like to do in life? What are important things to them? How do they live? And we're not going to have enough time for all this, but I'm going to wet your, whistle with a little bit, and you can do some research. You can literally Google, like, what do people with up to $5 million in assets like to do? And they'll come back and give you lists of things, like they like to sail, they like to buy expensive cars, blah, blah, blah. But the number one thing that all tiers like to spend their time and money on in these high net worth individuals, you're going to believe, is sports, football, hockey, all of that. They love sports. They love to be part of, is it tennis? Is it, is it regattas? Is it whatever? So sports is a big one. Different levels. Go ahead. Polo. Yeah. So you're going to want to dig in to what people in those groups and start kind of aligning yourself with these things. So you start understanding what they care about, just the same as you would if you're neighborhood geofarming, right? Like, I live in Louisville, Colorado, and big outdoors. People like to ride bikes, they like to hike. So a lot of what I do in my marketing and the time that I spend trying to network are geared in those things. Okay, so that's a big thing. Pick one of those arenas and go for it. And it doesn't matter. Don't limit yourself. Just go where you feel like you are going to identify with those people. So that was one of the first things I wanted to make sure that you understood and you really think about. The other big thing that I think is super important for you to know, and you're going to want to write this down, home values. So when you're referring to people in the luxury market, we usually call them affluent, right? We don't say wealthy, we call them affluent buyers. So you want to start to understand that people in that first HNWI group, it depends nationwide. So I'm going off of nationwide statistics, but they're generally looking at selling or purchasing home values, 500K to $1 million. 500K seems low because we're in Colorado. Is everybody here in Colorado? Or are there other states?
All
No.
over the state.
That's just great. So, but in South Carolina, where one of my good friends just kills it, $500,000 is a high price point. So just keep that in mind. Understand your area and what it's looking for. When you're moving up into that next group, you're going to be moving in the $1 million to $5 million price range, and then $5 million and above for that third tier. So that can also help you kind of decide, like, where do you feel comfortable? Do you have like one $5 million house in your entire state? That may not be the group you want to focus on then, because, it's difficult to stay busy with just one listing in that range. So those two things you're going to really want to spend some time trying to figure out. So I think one of the biggest things that I also found interesting is that most of the people in the first two tiers statistically are sort of self-made into that bracket, that income bracket. Not as many of them have inherited or have already been born into where the ultra high net worth individuals have. So that's kind of important, because then you're dealing with entrepreneurs. You're probably dealing in certain fields like tech right now, or medical, or different things where you can get into these fields and then build this kind of wealth. So those are good things to know, because then you're going to have a good understanding of where are you going to find these people. So those are super important things. So start working on identifying. I'm cheat sheeting you guys. My brain is kind of mushy. You're going to want to start digging into. Now, this you're going to want to write down. At the end of this, I'm not really supposed to share all of these actual things with you because they're proprietary, but I'm going to prepare a Google Doc that I will send to Tanya with all of these links, but you might want to write them down as well. There is a really cool website out there called Owl, and it breaks down to online wealth lookup. So like the owl, OWL, and then it's the initials behind it are ILHM. And you can Google that, and you can literally look up people through this system. They'll let you do 100 free per year. So if you're trying to figure out, who, you can do it by area, you can do it by zip code, you can do it by their actual name. Like you guys have probably heard, I live close to Boulder, and we've got Deion Sanders is coaching our college football team right now. I could literally put his information in there, and any public information about his wealth would pop up, and I would then know where does he fit. And then I'd have a better idea if that's an area I want to get into. So get comfortable using Owl. It was really interesting. It almost feels kind of voyeuristic, but it's public information. So that's a really good resource to kind of try and figure out. And you can even, I live in Louisville. I could go in there and say, I want, people that make X amount per year, that have lived in the area for 10 years, blah, blah, blah. And they'll pull me up a list of names, which then I could turn into a custom audience or other things in Facebook and start hitting them up with passive advertising, so they start seeing my name. So, so your marketing is going to get way more specific than it does in general with real estate in luxury. You're going to have to really dial down and into, getting to the right people. I think that it's interesting. I think we all know kind of the statistics of how high it is when people are looking for a realtor. They do internet searches, and that's one of the highest ways, other than someone referring them. But as you guys all know, everybody knows 4 or 5 realtors. So, it's kind of like being Coca-Cola. They still advertise, even though they're the most popular. So as realtors, we do that. We still advertise, but as luxury realtors, I mean, it's even more specific. You're going to have to really get into word of mouth. So you can create that by being what we call omnipresent in social media and advertising for your areas. So people see you on Facebook, they see you in their email, they see you, in snail mail, hard copy stuff, so that you start becoming a name that they associate with luxury. Which brings us to the next important thing, and that's your branding. So I'm personally redoing all my own branding right now, because I don't think my branding is hitting where I need to be, because I've sort of increased my price point that I'm trying to work in. So really digging into your personal branding, and in luxury, your personal branding matters so much more than it does in just regular real estate, for a lack of a better term. You really need to be someone people associate with that. It doesn't mean you have to run out and buy a Mercedes or, something like that. You got to start where you can start, but your branding really needs to look clean and professional and consistent. And so that's the biggest thing I think we all experience as realtors, is consistency is so tough. And there's so many platforms, and we're all kind of trying to figure out, do I TikTok? Do I not? So whatever it is you do, you need to just be consistent with it. And you'll find that most people get into the luxury market from a referral. So the two of you that said you'd done a house of $1 million or more, are you in areas where that's sort of an average price range, or is that a high? Okay, so that's just where you're at. So let's say your next kind of luxury would be what, $2 or $3 million? Is that getting more into that? Even more, so 5. Okay. So you'll find that most people that are in that 5, or whatever your area dictates, they got their first luxury break because somebody referred them. So that's the next most important piece that I can tell anybody about getting into this market. I work for EXP. I don't know if everybody's, where everybody's from. I got my very first luxury referral from an Arizona EXP agent. I'm in Boulder, which was a physician, an anesthesiologist moving to Boulder. And I had put together a really nice, I took 3 2-line things from previous realtors that I'd worked with, not clients, that said Nan was amazing. She took care of my clients. She kept me updated, things like that. A testimony to my, prowess as a realtor. And I put them in a little stackable thing. And I made it kind of, like we do Zillow. It just said Bob or whoever. It didn't like say who they were, but it would say Bob Realtor. And then I put them together. And then when I saw this referral thing pop up, we have a referral thing happening on our workplace, for those of you that aren't familiar with that. And what I did is, as soon as that would hit, I'd hit them with it was my website, this 3 little statements from other realtors, my email address, and how much I'll pay in referral. And I was happy to give her 35%. I know that seems high, but I got an anesthesiologist moving into my city it was a $1.7 million closing. And I am literally putting my 6th anesthesiologist from that group under contract this week in 18 months. It was worth that 35% to me, man. I'd pay 40. I mean, I might even do 50. So I just had a nice little blurb. However you're going to be, looking for referrals, I just had it, and I just looked better than everybody else. I looked like I had my what together. I had statements from other realtors, which is relevant, not my clients, it's the realtors. And I tried to make them, just 1 or 2 lines. And so when she called me, she goes, I'm not even calling anybody else. I can tell you have your stuff together. So kind of be thinking about that, because your next mission, after kind of identifying your niche within luxury, figuring out who those people are, what they do, what they like, where they live, and kind of starting to gear all your marketing toward those people to attract them. And then getting, any kind of certification that you want to get. Your next piece is going to be working your butt off in luxury networks to try and get referrals. Now, all companies have some kind of referral set up. At EXP, it's pretty easy for us we even have a luxury division. But the CLHMS that I told you I have, also has, that's the only reason I paid for the certification. And it's the reason that I keep paying the $300 a year, is because I continue to be active in that luxury network group. I make comments on people's posts. I stay active in all that stuff. I just got a referral from an LA couple for a $2.9 million listing I just put up in Windsor. I mean, it's going to be tough to sell that in Windsor, Colorado, but I wouldn't have gotten that if I wasn't active on those boards. So that's your next piece that you can do. These things are all free, aside from maybe getting the certification and then paying, a yearly fee or whatever. And so while you're building your stuff, you gotta be out in front of other luxury agents. So just like other luxury agents want to refer to other luxury agents to guarantee that client's going to be taken care of, hence the importance of your designations, so they know that you've gone through at least some training. People that are in these groups that are purchasing and selling luxury stuff, they're going to go off referrals from their friends. And so the other piece that you can do is find, I'm obviously going to be working on the medical field. And because of this one I fell into, and I also happened to fall into, I didn't know this, the Major League Baseball, their big IT hub is in Boulder, Colorado. I've lived here my whole life and had no idea. So I got the one. And so now I've picked these two fields, IT and medical. I've picked my price point and my niche. I've discovered what I think these people do. The fact that they're moving into Boulder County means that they're big time outdoor people. And so I don't like to hike. I just not my thing, but who cares, right?
I'll hike for you.
Yeah, you
I'll
can
be
hike.
hikers.
I'm actually having a knee replacement the October 25th. So that's why, my knee hates me when I do this stuff, but who cares, right? So a lot of my social media is starting to be about, trails and different places that you can ride your bike, your electric bike, things like that. So I picked two fields I want to get into, and a brilliant man who did luxury in Cincinnati, which seemed crazy to me, just told me, he's been retired for 30 years. He said, well, what about all the other doctors in the hospital? I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, go to the hospital website and grab all of their names, ask a couple of your anesthesiologists if they care, and just send them emails and say, hey, just touching base, wanted to introduce myself. I work with Joel McCreary, who's a big anesthesiologist in the hospital, helped him and his wife, move to Boulder and get their house. Just wanted to let you know I'm available. If you ever want, value on your house, or you're thinking of moving, or somebody, I'd love to help. Just opened up like 85 doctors that I've never done business with. So it's the same type of principle, but it's really micro focusing into who you want to work with. And, I actually had a call from a guy that's, he's an ER guy. I don't know, he's going to be fun to work with. Like, they have really interesting personalities, like, let's go. And I'm going to go look at his house next week and see, they might be ready to sell in a year. Maybe if I give him the right CMA, he'll sell sooner than that. But long story short, those are the big things that you can do. But I do think it's critical that you investigate getting some kind of certification. I am partial to the Institute of Luxury Home Marketing. It was $600 to take the class and to get my designation. And then they have a threshold. I'm considered a guild member because I met their threshold. I think it's 3 houses in the luxury threshold in my city in a 24-month period. I think we were at $1.5 million in my area. So, but you can still get the membership logo to put on all of your email signatures and all that stuff. So as you start conversing with other luxury agents, they see that you've done that, because it's all perception, right? So I'm doing the work, I'm setting myself up so other luxury agents will see that, and then it's staying active. Another quick piece that I am not that good at, and I just learned about, maybe some of you know how to do it better, or you can learn better. Apparently Zillow has, and I'm gonna look this other one up, a place where you can go in and it will tell you, it's called a migration report. And you can literally find out who is moving into your area, from even down to what zip code or city they're coming from at certain price points. So if you find that migration report and dig into it and find that people are moving from I don't know, Oklahoma into your area, then I would really work very hard on figuring out how I can connect with other luxury agents in those cities and just really create a relationship with them. I've started adding them to my Facebook group. On my Facebook, I have a separate group named, realtors or agents. And so I'm adding agents that I want to do stuff with into those groups. I would certainly reach out and start communicating with them and then just sending them random information about your area so they know what's happening. And then that way, when they get somebody or if they know somebody, they might be, oh, you need to talk to this girl. She knows what's going on there. She's the best. So that's one thing I was going to do. I know that Tanya is, I think you're an instructor in this, if I remember right, the disc stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's huge in luxury. It's so huge in luxury because like my anesthesiologist, I'm obviously, I think I'm a high I and then I'm a high I'm
ID. Yeah,
yes.
your ID.
Yeah, I need to learn more. And he's the complete opposite. So when I'm like, trust me, this is a good deal. You need to make an offer. He's like, what? Whoa. So I've been able to kind of, change up my stuff. So do the disc assessment, get training on that, do all that stuff. If you're with Tanya, from what I heard, she's pretty amazing on that disc stuff. I'm going to have to sign up with her. So that's huge. And then the other one I was going to tell you about, let me find it and you're going to have to write it down. There is another website called WE, and it stands for the Wealth Engine Prospecting Tool. Now, I believe they will give you some amount of free searches on there too. Again, search your area, find out where the wealth kind of sits, what fields they're in, where they sit. And those would be more again about finding where you want to focus on. Some of these different places that offer these certificates, it's a tool if you're part of it. The other big thing that I think a lot of luxury listing people want to see is where are you going to advertise my property? And that's huge. So, just throwing it in your MLS doesn't really cut it for these properties. So you're going to want to make sure that, you know what your options are. And I don't want to sound like I'm pitching the Institute. It's just the one I'm using. They have like 6 different places because I'm a member where we can put free listings in these worldwide and national websites so that people that are used to searching for luxury listings, can go to. Real quick, I think this guy's about to ring my doorbell and it sounds like barking dogs. So if that goes off, my apology. Hopefully he doesn't hit it twice. But if you hear barking dogs in the background, that's what it is. So you want to check out that's huge, and finding other places where you would list it. And you're going to put together a whole thing that shows your listing presentation. I'm going to, like when I do a luxury listing now, they automatically go into the Washington Post. They go into a website called Proxio. They, and those are free. And those are big deals. Do I think that them being in the Washington Post is going to sell their house? Probably not. But does it make my potential clients feel like I'm going above board? Absolutely. Because it sounds pretty impressive, right? So, and then I still have to do my work though, and get it into my MLS and do the proper things like broker opens and things like that. And then pushing in the states that I know are moving in to where I'm selling so that they get their house sold. So those are huge. This is one that kind of went, and these are all things you need to do in the beginning. These are not things to put on the side burner. You need to have all this stuff in a row if you want to break into this market, because believe me, your competitors that have been in the market, they know this stuff and they can rattle it off. So the next big one for me was understanding the archaeology or the architecture in your area. Not archaeology, sorry, the architecture in your area. We have one designer in Boulder County that's done, I think, about 6 houses here. And if you're a local Boulder person, you're someone wanting to come in, this guy's houses. I didn't even know his name. So there is a website, Realtor.com, I think, is the one who puts it out. It's the Architecture Guide, Home and Design. I'll make sure that link is in there. You can go in and study, and so you'll know what a Tudor is. You'll know what a mid-century is, but deeper than just that. So you need to be able, when you go to someone's listing and see that it's, it was built in the 1800s and it's this and that, you need to understand that stuff, because people that are spending this amount of money on houses, They have pride in this house that they spent $5 million on, and they expect you to know it. So that's another big piece. Understand, the architecture in your area and how to talk about it. And that can be a niche in itself, is that you're the person in your area that just does all of the mid-centuries or all of the whatevers. And that can really become a huge niche. I've had people, this was hard for me to adopt as a realtor with 25 years experience. Niching scared me because I felt like, oh, if I narrow it down, I'm going to miss other business, and I can't. I got to grab the business I've had in the past, which has not been luxury. But what I've learned, and I've seen it, proved it to be true, is once you niche, you're not going to lose the stuff that you've had in the past, especially if you're top of mind with your past clients, and so that they're referring you to other people. You'll actually gain more business outside of your niche than if you don't niche down. And it's a bizarre concept, but don't be afraid to super niche down into like a type of house, a specific kind of client, because you'll actually create more business for yourself. Then the last piece that I'm going to say, because I know we're kind of going, when you're starting to attract these clients to you, make sure that they're people you want to work with. Because if you don't want to work with them, and that's who you've built your thing to attract with, and you absolutely can't stand them, you're going to burn out, which is what I did in real estate in general. I mean, twice I've burnt out to the point that I'm like, what am I doing here? And I finally learned that, you've got to niche down to working with your people, the people that you enjoy being with, the people you enjoy helping, and the people that, you want them to send their friends. So, and that's hard. And not all of us are equipped or want to deal with that ultra high net worth individual that has high expectations of service. Doesn't mean there's anything wrong with them, or, it's just maybe not where we're at. I personally, I have a friend moving to Laguna Beach, and the agent that I sent her to out there, they're like, you should come out here and work. And I went out there with her to kind of introduce her. And I saw her driving her 4-door Porsche, wearing her Louboutins and her DKNY. And I'm like, nope, not for me. In Boulder, I can show a $10 million property in North Face and Birkenstocks in my Prius, and nobody
How about
cares.
trucker hats? Can we do it in trucker hats?
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like, yes. So really, it's a real thing. No matter what level of real estate you're in, think about who you want to work with, because that's who you want to keep attracting. And if you keep attracting people you can't stand, it's a tough job at that point. So I think I ran through that pretty quickly. I wanted to make sure I got stuff in, but does anybody have any questions or something they want me to cover that maybe I didn't?
I have some things to add.
Awesome.
Questions.
Dee Dee, did you have a question? Is it Dee Dee?
See that.
Yes, but Tanya, go first. Absolutely. Mine was just simple. What if they don't want? What if they don't want to list and they want to keep it private?
Like off the market?
Yes.
So
but they want to work with you and get it sold, but very private and hush hush.
Where are you at? Which state?
I'm in downtown Jersey City in New Jersey.
Okay.
And we have that market. And some of them are very private, especially when we're having a new huge group coming in from another country, and they're taking over, and they're very private.
It's so true, and you're exactly right. So you have to obviously go with whatever's your broker and your MLS and everybody requires. So number one, check with your broker. I worked for a very small high-end boutique brokerage back in the day, and we did have a whole list of our off-market properties that we would tour and pass around each other. Can't do that anymore, but so I would figure out, what's okay within your deal, but there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, you could do other things as far as getting the name out. And that's where having like access to lists of whether it be, who lives in that neighborhood. Is it physicians? Is it tech guys? Is it whatever? They all, not everybody that lives in a neighborhood is all going to be in the same field, but a lot of them are going to be. So then in that case, you would probably start marketing to local hospitals, whatever, just kind of getting the word out. I would also, again, check with your broker. We can have an open house in Colorado, like 2 or 3 days. If we have it coming soon without any signage, we can have one open house and then never have it go on the market as active, as long as we don't exclude anybody. So we would just, advertise an open house, and it would be for anybody. So but it can't go in an MLS. It can't go anywhere. So, it's going to be.
What if you put it on 2 weeks later or whatever? Is there stipulation?
It's okay. You can, as long as you don't try to coming soon it again. It just, and that depends on your MLS, the coming soons. A lot of people think that's the state. It's your MLS. Because I'm up north, I belong to one called Iris, and they have a 72-hour coming soon. But the one I belong to in Denver is a 48-hour. So same state, same property. So definitely check with your broker. But I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. You'll also get some people that will want to come in and say, I'll list my property with you, but if Joe or Bob or Jimmy buy it from me, I'm not going to pay you your full commission. So, you'll get that stuff too. And then that's just a negotiation, obviously. And you're like, fine, you don't have to pay me this commission, but if Joe or Jim or Bob buy it, you will pay me this commission, because I am still going to be representing your house. So that's just a personal negotiation. I have some friends in Boulder who just came from Jersey. They had a huge business out there. So,
I like that strategy, because we have someone that's selling a luxury listing here in Colorado, and he's selling it. He wants to sell it to his tenant, but his tenant's taking too much time. So it'll probably go through, but it might not. So would you recommend that strategy? I'm actually taking my Colorado test next week, so I'll find out all these things.
I mean, so the tenant's living in there now and he wants to buy it, but he's taking his time getting qualified. Is that the deal, or just making the decision?
Getting qualified.
Okay. Does he know that his tenant's qualified at all, or is he just?
He's not sure. Well, he may or may not be, but the tenant's just taking some time, which he could be just like, I don't want you to sell it, so I'm going to take a couple months before you put it on the market. So it could be just playing him.
Agree. Getting his own ducks in a row. So this is, if I were his agent, I would tell him this: you need to tell your agent that we need proof of funds or pre-approval by X, whatever that date is. And I'd make it sooner than later, because it doesn't take a lender more than 48 hours to, give him a pre-approval, and that's what I would tell him. And then tell that tenant. And if you don't have that, you can be nice about it. But if that's not available to me, I'm going to have to go ahead and list it, because the market's funky. I want to wait. That's what I would do.
Or just say, I'm going to do a coming soon by this weekend. And then, like you said, you can basically just do a coming soon and then eventually put it on the market, as long as you're not doing a coming soon.
So you got 48 hours. Is this an Iris or a RE Colorado listing? Do you know yet? So Iris is our MLS up here. It's mostly Boulder County and north. Is it in Denver or the Springs? It's probably RE Colorado.
Not the Springs. I think it's RE Colorado.
Yeah. So I think there's a 72-hour coming soon. Double check on that, because no, theirs is the 48-hour one, but double check on that. I don't usually I don't do coming soons. It's not my favorite thing to do personally.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's great.
But for this strategy, I think it's smart. And then so double check if it's 48 hours, then say, hey, Friday at 7 p.m. is your deadline, or whatever, before the weekend, and it's going up on the weekend. That's what I would do.
I love that. Yeah. Okay. So I want to add just a couple things that you said, right?
Sure.
You're saying, if you want to get into the luxury market, right, you want to kind of tap into people, right, that are in that high net worth bracket, or affluent.
Right.
As a coach, I have a lot of agents say, how do I get into luxury, right? And I first and foremost say, be who you want to attract. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
And these are agents that are posting marijuana stuff, it's five. What is it? What is the word?
420.
420?
420 friendly. Yeah.
I don't even know these things. Today's 420 day. Yeah. And so I just say, hey, I'm not judging you, but if you were telling me you want to get into luxury market, luxury people, do they do 420? A lot of people probably do. Are they going to associate with people that are free with their private habits? No. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
So I always say, be who you want to attract. Okay. If you want to attract more, be more. Right. Don't be a 2 looking for a 10. And right. I think that if anyone's getting in a luxury market and you guys feel like you're not there yet, think about some of the things you want to do, right? You don't have to go buy, all these luxury items. I give my luxury stuff away when I get gifts because I don't appreciate it, right? But I have a luxury mindset. I worked in the bank, but I don't like to acquire that kind of stuff, right? But the thing is I think for all you agents that want to get into this market, think about what are one or two things in my lifestyle, right? Or what I read, right? A lot of them are reading the Wall Street Journal, right? They're keeping up with the stock markets. They know their money, right?
Absolutely.
What can you add to that?
You could get on the Ralph Lauren Instagram and just post some of the stuff they have on there that you identify. You don't have to live it yet. I certainly don't live a luxury lifestyle. I cannot buy a $2.9 million listing. It's not happening. But that doesn't mean that the people that can feel like I'm outside of them, if that makes sense. But yes.
Yeah, well, because that brings me to a point is there's a book called The Millionaire Next Door.
Yes.
Right? The millionaire next door is the one that's driving the American cars, that he has everything's paid off. I know a lot of millionaire next doors, right? So it just depends on who you relate to. So don't judge a book by its cover. Okay. Don't think that luxury people are all snobs. No. And right. Don't think that someone that drives an American car, it's the habits, it's the lifestyle, right? And I think the biggest thing is a lot of people want to get in the luxury market, but they're not speaking the language.
Yes.
Right. They're
That's
not.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. They are not, they can't relate.
So you do have to look at things like, there's, things like using affluent instead of wealthy, or it's those kinds of things. And you can get your certification and it'll all be like, I have this lovely little book. Oh, you can't see it and all these things, but you can Google this stuff too. You really could Google, what does a luxury agent need to know? What's a vocabulary of a luxury agent? And you'll find that stuff for free. I have the best story about in Colorado, in Fort Collins, which is more of an agricultural area, or at least it used to be. There's a big real estate company up there called The Group. Are you guys familiar with ninja selling? It's a real estate selling technique. It's really good. Well, the guy that invented it is in Fort Collins that wrote the book, and it's pretty good sales for any sales, but it's called ninja selling techniques. But anyway, his receptionist kept having all these luxury agents back in the day come and get their paychecks from her, and she was seeing these big amounts, and she's quote unquote just the receptionist. So she asked him, what she should do, and he said, you need to socialize. So she went and joined the local country club up there, the whatever, and just did everything and volunteered for everything. And over the past 15 years, she's one of the most successful luxury agents in that area. And she, so there's a way to do it. Tanya's absolutely right. Speak the language, get inside that area.
Or, some of the other things. So I lived in San Diego. So when you said I just remembered this is how we connected, right? So San Diego, Rancho Santa Fe area. So I had a luxury client. So I'm gonna give you guys a little story. I had one, she lived in Rancho Santa Fe. Her home was worth 2.5 maybe, and she wanted to sell it for 5 million. Well, this luxury client was a trust fund baby. She didn't work. She had no concept of money. Okay. She just wanted to feel important. And so she wanted to list her house for 5 million just because she could. Right. And I would say when you go in with any client, including luxury clients, probably even more so, you need to find out their motivation, right? What is your motivation for selling this house? Where do you want to go? What do you want to do with this money? How quickly you want to sell this house? And if they're like, I just want to see if someone will give me $3 million more, right? You get to decide, because we had to put $5,000 into her house because she wanted to be in the San Diego Home magazine and she wanted to feel good, and we had to stroke her ego, and we had to decide, how long do we want to take this listing for? The good news is we never sold it. We told her, we'll put it on, it's not going to sell. We did get another sale out of her, like she bought land, but you have to set the expectations of how you work Okay. And you have to control, just because they have more money than you doesn't mean they're smarter than you. Okay. So you have to control your time, because the worst thing that you could do is work with a luxury client and let them run you ragged, right? And they will spend your marketing dollars and you get nowhere.
Yeah.
You're right, Nan?
For sure. Yeah, you definitely have to control it and set the expectation. I do think that most of you will get probably your first luxury client as a referral, most likely, and that's why I think it's super important to start hobnobbing, if you will, with other luxury agents and just letting them know you're there. It's hard to just break in that market without someone kicking your foot in the door for you. Doesn't mean it's impossible.
What would you say the average that you spend up front on marketing up front, and then the life of it? Like, can tell us a little bit more about the time on the market for listings like this? Obviously, they're all different.
Oh my God, this market right now is the craziest I've seen, and I've kind of seen them all. But so the $2.9 million listing in Windsor is the second most expensive property listed currently in that entire city. Windsor is a very, it's a smaller area, and it's more agricultural. It's not, not a lot of hustle bustle, but it's an amazing lifestyle. There are 2 nationally rated golf courses right there. We're getting a lot of these PGA golf courses up north. So, and there's a lot of $1 million to $2 million properties brand new going up. So, but we're kind of out of reach. So I have had it on the market 40 days, and it was on the market with a previous agent for 4 months. And, not disparaging another agent at all, but she doesn't know how to market a luxury home. So crappy photos, crappy everything. So they wasted about 4 months, which stinks for my clients because it's stale now, right? So I spent $3,500 the first week that I put it up on video, marketing, all of that. So my $1,075,000 in Hilltop, which is a older neighborhood in Denver, kind of central Denver, where it's like the best schools, the best everything, cute bungalows, all of that. I think I spent about $1,800 the first week, just on her stuff, so
How much was the other one? I didn't hear that.
Well, if I was honest, it's probably closer to $3,800. But I did one of those lovely, they call them cinematic lifestyle videos where, we're having a cocktail party and the kids are jumping in the pool and the car's driving up and that whole thing. But it is what it is. I mean, in the upfront, be ready to spend some money. That's the other piece I think people don't realize. You can't just hire your regular photographer and throw it in the MLS. And I did a lot of mail out stuff in the area. And so now on the 2.9, I actually negotiated them to pay the staging, which is unusual, just so you know, because I just was honest with them. I said, you had it with this other agent for 4 months. It's going to be really hard for me to sell. So for, quickly. So to, take on that expense for the next 6 months of staging, not in my budget, to do that. And they were fine with that. So she spent $3,500, I think, getting it staged. It's over 10,000 square feet, and it's home theater, a pool, 3 hot tubs, 6-car attached garage. I mean, it's huge. 2,000 square foot apartment. It has an elevator and I call it a gremlin chair, where they put the old lady in the chair and then it makes her fly out the window. So it's all levels are accessible to everyone in the family. They had 2 elderly parents living with them, so they could get to every floor, which I marketed it as a stunning multi-generational estate.
I love it.
That's a big thing now, right? Is everyone moving in? But yeah, $4,000.
Tell us a little bit about your open houses. How are your open houses different? What kind of open houses are you doing to bring in realtors? And well, there's broker opens, but not realtors, but to bring in buyers. What are you having to do? High-end wine and cheese and, I had someone in Colorado Springs. She was selling like a $350,000 house. It was probably 1,800 square feet. She did this big, huge balloon display, and she was giving like a Louis Vuitton purse away and all this. And I was like, Oh, girl, that is way too much for this neighborhood.
Because
But
you're just going to get people that want that free purse.
yes.
Yeah, they don't want the house. Yeah. They
No.
want that.
So,
Yeah.
so what would you say your tips are when you have a luxury property in terms of open houses and getting people to come?
Luxury, I always do a broker open just because. And what I did for both of them is I found the local neighborhood restaurant and I just went in and said, hey, you want to come on in here and do a little something? So we got, because the most popular local neighborhood restaurant talks to everybody anyway. And lo and behold, I used the woman that owns for the $2.9 million listing, the woman that owns the really cool Italian restaurant. They brought in their food and they brought in champagne, and they didn't charge me. I offered to pay some, but she just did it. Yeah, it was pretty cool. And then I used her friends and her in our lifestyle video. So they're the ones, and there are about 15 people there, just the locals, and they're, the local beautiful people, if you will, or whatever. And they had a blast, and they loved being in that video. So nobody charged me anything for that because I just went to the local people. The Denver one, I used the little neighborhood restaurant. I think they just brought in, my lender paid for the food that we brought in for the broker open, and I think I paid for the champagne. And,
okay, so that's bringing people in, and you're doing them at normal Saturday hours. Do you find that doing like a twilight open house with wine or cheese? Have you ever?
I haven't had success with those. I have an agent under me that kills it at those. So I think it's kind of your deal. Like, I don't have any luck with those, but he kills it.
But is he in the luxury market?
Not really. He's right below. He's like in that $600,000 to $800,000 range, and he's in Loveland, and $1 million is definitely luxury up there. And so, but he has a great time with that. So then the open houses, just to get the buyers in with luxury, I just a lot more presence. I go out. This is what I do. In the front, I put a sign in that says this house will be open, and I have the day and time. So I put this stuff out on Wednesday or Thursday, saying it'll be open on Sunday 10 to 2. Then I do
you have a special sign made, or you just write on it?
I made them.
Can you, in your packet that you send us, can you
Yes.
send us a copy of that? That would be fantastic.
And it's just the silly, the ones we don't spend a lot of money on, the H sign.
Yeah.
And then I have a rider for the top that slides in, and then it says this house will be open, and it's got my branding. And then I can slide in and out of the top, the pre-printed Sunday 10 to 12 or whatever, because I tend to do them the same time. And then I just slide them in, and I put that in Wednesdays or Thursdays. And then I actually go and put my arrows up, my pointing open house with my branding, like that day too, because a lot of times people will just drive the arrows to see, and then they'll see the sign that says this day and time.
Oh, really? Like in luxury? Because with HOA rules and stuff, people don't like that.
Well, and it depends, right? If you've got a gated community, they're not going to like it. But the two that I have are not in gated communities, and people drive around them anyway. So it's just a normal street. So you have to gauge it by your house, right? So, and for me, the 2.9 in Windsor, it's right out in the middle of everything, and everybody drives right through it to get to the next level of house. They have to drive right past their cul-de-sac. So, and it's right in front of their cul-de-sac. They can't get back to the house per se, but they can see when the open house is going to be. But it's so far above everything in that area, to get actual people that might have the money to purchase that house is really hard. So
would you do pop buys or special things for your luxury clients? What kind of things do you do to stay in contact with them besides your Facebook and stuff?
So I have a box. I don't know if anyone's seen Krista Mishor's training, but I have a cool little box. It looks like a shirt box that you would give a gift in, has a QR code on the front, and that goes to a landing page and a funnel. And so if I'm trying to get to know somebody, I start with a targeted Facebook ad that drops people into 3 different funnels based on a zip code. And then as they get kind of narrowed down to they've actually been willing to give me their information, then I drop this little box at their door. But it's after I've already got their email address and I've sent them a CMA or a neighborhood, market analysis, but specific to the neighborhood. I do that. And then I tell them that I'm going to be dropping something off at their house. I don't pop by in a luxury neighborhood just randomly at all. I don't, not in our neighborhoods. I think that's that's a little bit harder to get away with. I know in California, you guys pop by everywhere.
But what about people? So that's someone you're trying to target. What about your luxury agents or your luxury clients and your A list? Do you give them something every month? And what do you do? Or do you do client party?
I do client events. I do big time client events. And I was doing them quarterly, but I think I'm going to try and figure it every other month. And like the one coming up in 2 weeks from now, right before my surgery, is a pumpkin patch. And so I'm focusing on Boulder County too, but I do have a lot of deals outside of Boulder that are, 30 to 45 minutes away. So I'm still inviting them, but I'm trying to not do as much all over the place. So I'm not running like crazy. But client events are huge for luxury people. And so we're doing a pumpkin patch where they get a hayride and, come and they get to pick, a pumpkin that they want that I'll end up paying for. The guy usually charges $20 for the tickets to do the hayride and the corn maze and all that. So I'll just pay for everybody after we count how many people have shown up. He lets me put up a little table thing there, like a picnic table that they have that I can reserve for my people. And then, we have those snacks and things like that. But client events are huge. And then my luxury people I actually am doing a hard copy newsletter to their mailbox. And I don't do digital. I don't do as much digital to my luxury as I do to my other clients. I do more in the mail, inviting them to, than I do just the digital stuff over and over again. And I don't find that most of my luxury clients, people disagree with me on this. I don't think they're on TikTok and Facebook and stuff as much as my other people.
They're probably on LinkedIn and places like that.
Right. Or not on it, and at all.
Exactly.
So that's why I try to do more like things they can touch in their hand or come to.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are at the top of the hour. Do you have any last words? And I just want to go over some just bullet points on what was ahas here. What are your last words for people?
Definitely start networking with other luxury agents. Figure out where the people that are coming into your luxury area are coming from and get to know those people via Facebook, everything. Be their resource, and they will send you clients when they come. And that's it. You've got to network with other luxury agents who will refer you. Even if it's in like the Springs is about an hour from me, Colorado Springs. And I have luxury agents there that I know they're not going to drive to Boulder to show properties, but they'll send them to me because I'm their buddy. And they know that I know what I'm talking about.
So basically, branding. You just said something really important. It's not on social media and stuff. So meaning get out of your guys' house and go actually talk to people and connect to people with people. Okay. She has her systems on point. She has her listing presentations on point. She knows her neighborhood. She knows the styles in her neighborhood. Okay. She knows how to talk luxury, right? And she lives luxury lifestyle, but a simple one that you don't have to.
Yeah, totally.
And I love this. Thank you so much, you guys. So if you guys know, a lot of you, by the way, a lot of them are in like California and luxury markets. Make sure you think of Nan, okay? Because you can get a fat referral check.
Yes, you can.
For people moving here. So Nan, thank you so much. Was this helpful, you guys? Can I get a thumbs up? Super helpful.
Hey.
Okay. So what I'm going to ask you guys, okay, this is for her. Okay. I'm going to ask you guys to text me right now, to my text, how you like the class, like what were your ahas from the class and you like how she was teaching it. So she can use that for her marketing as well for other agents. So can you guys do that thank her for her time? Text me, say luxury class, whatever you got. Did you like her teaching? What you liked about it? And go from there.
Be honest, because you can't learn unless I find out what I don't do well.
Yes. And then Nan, will you send us the PDF that you were going to send us?
I will.
And I absolutely love that sign because the idea of the sign, it's open. I think that could work for any open house.
It does. It really does. I will send those. Thank you all so much for my raspiness and my big red nose.
Thank you for coming on, even though you're sick. We appreciate it.
You bet. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Nan.
Thanks. Nice meeting you all.
Thank you. Nice meeting you.
do.
Thank you, Tanya.
Thank you. And if any of you guys want to chat, let me know. Text me.